Good afternoon. Tom Green along with Sports Director Rod Mackey, and that is because it is no longer going to be a secret. In about a minute or two, the Denver Broncos are going to make it official that Russell Wilson is coming to town.
Biggest press conference we've had in, well, since Peyton 10 years ago. This is huge for the Broncos. They've gone through so many quarterbacks since then. Tom and I were just talking about it. There's been quarterback battle after quarterback battle. Not going to happen this year. It's all about number 3. They're going to officially introduce him. And, you know, they could talk about the backup, but this is also a guy who missed some playing time last year. But that was the only time. He's healthy. He's a 2-time Super Bowl participant, beat the Broncos. This is a special day for the Broncos.
Yeah, and his injury was not a wear and tear of a guy aging. It was a freak injury, a finger injury that took him off the field for the Seahawks last year. More importantly, much as when they got Peyton Manning, they're also getting someone who instantly becomes the face of this franchise.
And you could see yesterday he went to visit Children's Hospital. This is a guy who gets it. He was the NFL's Walter Payton Man of the Year winner. And we've had Justin Simmons, who's won it multiple times, back to back to back to back, but that was for the Broncos. This is a guy who's won it for the national award. He is out there once a week doing this type of stuff. In fact, he's stepping up to the podium now, Tom.
Yeah, we just saw Russell Wilson walking in as the Broncos are getting ready to start that press conference. And there you see Russell Wilson, who is about to become the Broncos' new quarterback. General Manager George Payton, who is the man who's been making all the deals of late, is about to begin this news conference. So let's go live to Dove Valley.
For this wonderful day. This is a historic day for the Denver Broncos and all our fans out there in Broncos country. And we're thrilled to welcome quarterback Russell Wilson, a 9-time Pro Bowler, a Super Bowl champion, a Walter Payton Man of the Year, to the Denver Broncos. I especially want to welcome Russell's amazing family, his wife Sierra, his kids Future, Sienna and Wynn, and his mother Tammy is here as well. You know, a trade of this magnitude doesn't take place with a lot of people coming together, working together, and one of those individuals is here today, and that's Russell's good friend, his confidant, and his agent, Mark Rogers. And Mark, it's been a pleasure getting to know you this week, and look forward to a tremendous partnership moving forward with both of you and Russ. I also want to recognize the Seattle Seahawks, led by Pete Carroll, John Schneider, and Matt Thomas, and it's a first-class organization that really has set the standard of winning for the past 12 years. But the trust, the communication, and the professionalism that John showed throughout that process has been amazing. And the fact that this did not leak, you know, we had a month of negotiations between John and I, it didn't leak, is a credit to John, a credit to the Seahawks, the Broncos, and Russ and his team. You know, I also want to thank the players involved in the trade. Drew Lock, Noah Fant, Shelby Harris, you know, really good players on the field, even better people off the field and in the community, and we're really going to miss them, but wish them the best in Seattle, and I know they're going to have great careers moving forward. You know, it's if you know me, it's tough to trade a lot of picks, you know, 2 number 1 picks, 2 second-round picks, and 3 really good players, but that's the price you pay when you add a player and person of Russell's stature. And, you know, once we knew that Russell could be available, he was our number 1 target. He was our priority for the offseason. We were going to do anything it took to get Russ. It's just unique that you can trade a quarterback, a franchise quarterback, in his prime, and we just felt we had to take that chance. And just watching Russell this year, you know, once we realized he was available, you dig into the tape, you know, he has elite arm strength, elite accuracy. We feel he has the best deep ball in the NFL. And then you watch him off schedule, you know, and his eyes and his instincts and the playmaking ability. And, you know, the it factor that all the great quarterbacks has, Russ has. He's the best in the biggest moments. He's best, you know, in the end of the game to win the game. And then the durability he's had throughout his career is unparalleled. You know, he started the first 165 games, if I'm not mistaken, which I think is 6th most by a quarterback in NFL history. But the thing that really sets Russell apart is he's a winner. And no quarterback in their first 10 years in the league has won as many games as Russ. And here we are, we're bringing him to a team that is talented, that is hungry, that just needs to learn how to win, and we feel like he's going to get us to where we need to go. I've had an opportunity to talk with Russ, you know, over the last 10 days or so. I've never met anyone who's completely obsessed with winning as Russ is. And not only with winning, but the process of winning and the work that goes into it. You watch him and Coach Hackett in a room, and I can only stay for about a half hour, and I got to leave. But he's also obsessed with helping others and has a championship legacy of serving in the community. And I know he and Sierra and their family are going to do great things in the Denver community. Obviously, it's been an exciting time. There's a lot of juice. There's a lot of energy in the building, but nothing's guaranteed. Nothing's promised. The work starts today, and it's going to take all of us. It's going to take Russell, his teammates. It's going to take Coach Hackett, the coaches, myself, the entire building to come together and work in partnership to get to where we need to go. And, it's not going to be easy, but we're going to embrace it and the opportunity and the challenge. And I know we're going to get there and look forward to it. And with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Coach Hackett to say a few words.
Wow. Come on, y'all. Russell Wilson. Holy very exciting. I look at it as, somebody asked me when we were at the Combine, what do you look for in a quarterback? And I said that tough, smart, accurate, athletic. Go into the dictionary and you'll see Russell Wilson there smiling with the big old smile, because that's who he is. George hit on all of it. You're 100% right. Just his durability, his accuracy, the deep balls. We're going to be throwing that thing down the field, and that's so exciting. It's so exciting for everybody, and it did take a lot of people. It took everybody in this building. Thank you for everybody. Thank you, because this is very exciting for the coaching staff, for the players, for the team, for all of us. And it's crazy because you talk about him on the field a lot, as a football player, but just the father he is, slowly getting to know this family. I'm not going to lie, I was very excited to meet his wife, almost probably more excited, not going to lie, but sorry, Russ, and the family. But just as a man, as a father, he's an amazing person. And, I'm truly honored. I'm so lucky to be up here again in a suit in front of y'all, so excited to be part of this journey with the Denver Broncos, with all these guys on this team. So without further ado, so much has been said. Let's introduce number 3, Russell Wilson, starting quarterback of the Denver Broncos.
Well, first of all, it's been definitely a whirlwind over the past several days, but it's been an amazing journey. First of all, I want to thank the Denver Broncos just for the opportunity. Every day I wake up, you realize that, playing this game is a gift. It's a gift. And to be able to do what I love every day is something special. So I'll never take that for granted. It's truly a gift. And there's been amazing players here in this organization, some of the greatest of all time. I know John Elway's in the back. I used to watch when I was a young kid, and my dad used to always show me clips of him making plays. He was a two-sport athlete. He was the epitome of two-sport athletes. You think about Peyton Manning, arguably one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. There's been some greats along the way, and then other players as well that I've gotten to play in my journey too as well, and some guys that are on our team that are some of the best in the game. So it's a true honor to be here and to be a Denver Bronco. It also means a lot to me. I'll give you a little background. It means a lot to me because, I got drafted in baseball June 8, 2010 by the Colorado Rockies. And the next day, my dad passed away. And it was one of the hardest days of my life because it was the highest of the highest, the lowest of the lowest within 24 hours. And how the Colorado Rockies organization took hold of me, took care of me. Billy Schmidt, some other greats, Jay, a lot of other great people in this community really took me on their wing, and it really meant a lot to me along the way, knowing that even though it's a hard time, people supported. I remember my locker being between Todd Helton and Tulowitzki and some other greats, and Matt Holliday, different people, Cargo. So I was fortunate to be around some amazing people, and this city has meant a lot to me even from back then. But obviously it has meant a lot to me, meant the world to me over the past 10 years of my life, and that's Seattle. Seattle Seahawks have been everything to me. I was drafted on April 27th of 2012, and my dreams really started becoming true then. And there's really a few key people in that journey. First of all, obviously the late Paul Allen, who gave me the opportunity, who gave everybody there an opportunity to play the game. And he's done so much in the world. And obviously Jody too, and the two of them have meant the world to me over the past 10 years, my family, Sierra and I. it's meant a lot. Obviously, Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll was a coach that always chewing his bubble gum, always believed in the fourth quarter comebacks with me. A guy that I always believed in too as well. And we've had amazing moments, amazing conversations, amazing days together, just so many amazing times. And so Pete, obviously, he's a Hall of Fame coach in my opinion. He's been an amazing person along the way with me. And then there's obviously John Schneider, who's a guy when I was playing at University of Wisconsin in the Big Ten. He was chopping it up in the bar with my brother after we won and beat Michigan State. And he was chopping it up with my brother in the bar and talking about how he would one day maybe want me to be his quarterback. And so those two guys have meant the world to me. And then I have so many amazing other people, obviously coaches along the way that have meant the world to me. From offensive coordinators like Bevel and Shoddy to obviously Shane Waldron, who I think is an amazing mind. The quarterback room. I remember Coach Tater. He taught me about the daisy chain of life. He taught me about how to take every day and simplify the game, and that was a beautiful thing for me. So many other great people along the way. I have a long list that I could go through in terms of coaches, but our rooms where we'd have our prayer sessions and just talk about life, not just the game plan, but talk about life. Dave Canales, Austin Davis, a lot of other people, the quarterbacks I've played with. I know Geno Smith, you meant a lot to me along the way, so many others. But anyways, I think that room was always a special room. And it was always because it was about the work and about people. And I think that we always took dedication to that. But I also have had some amazing teammates too as well. I think about the first day I ever walked into in my first draft, we had the rookie symposium, and the first thing they do is they walk onto stage and they tell you, what does the NFL stand for? And we're like, National Football League? And we're all looking left and right, and no, it's not for long. And I remember Robert Turbin and I being roommates and talking about how one day we were going to break records, and one day we were going to do special things and win a Super Bowl and maybe hopefully more. To other amazing teammates like DK Metcalf, who I think is one of the best in the game, but one of my best friends. I think about just obviously the stuff on the field, but also the stuff behind the scenes where, we're sitting in my office and just chopping up, laughing and talking life and everything else. To Tyler Lockett, the amazing toe tap catches and the amazing things he's done along the journey, and just how, he's really a poet along the way too. So amazing things that he's done. To other great friends that I've played with, whether it was short or long, guys like Jimmy Graham, that meant a lot to me. In difficult times, and he really meant a lot to me along the way too. And then there's so many other guys like Dwayne Brown. I think he's one of the best competitors I've ever gotten to play with, one of the greatest guys I've ever been around. You're talking about people standing in the locker room long, being there late. That guy would be there, every day, every moment, to the last minute, to the last hour. And I love playing with him. And there's so many other guys along the way. To the Super Bowl team that I was able to play with, and everything else, those guys that would compete at the highest level. And that's how you learned how to practice. That's how you learn how to play at the highest level. And, so those guys too, there's a long list of those guys as well. But then I also think about the people in the building, that I've been able to be with every day, the people that go unseen. EK, one of the best equipment managers in all of sports, but one of the best people you could ever meet, that helped me from day one. To other people like Mo Kelly, who was the heart and soul of that building, the guy who keeps people together, who keeps believing in the best things. To the trainers, obviously Strick and Sam, those guys, when you're dinged up and you got to play and you're going no matter what it takes because you want to do whatever it takes to win, those guys helping you out. To the strength staff as well, to so many other people that I've been along the journey, Danny and Ivan and Coach Carlisle, and just people that I've been around. I've been fortunate to be around some amazing people. And I think that what I know about this organization here in Denver Broncos, it's about amazing people. Same thing in Seattle was amazing people. And so I never take that for granted. I think this is the city of Seattle, obviously, the 12s, because, without you guys, it would be tough. But I think the 12s have meant a lot to me along the way because of the journey. And, and then ultimately, all the kids we got to see, Sierra sitting up here in the front, but, our foundation with Why Not You Foundation, all the kids we were able to see and impact in that community really meant the world to us every day. Even on the hardest days when stuff is tough, to be able to know that you can be an inspiration for somebody. In this game, God gave me a right hand for some reason to be able to throw it deep to Tim Patrick back there or Court Sutton or KJ or anybody, whoever it may be. He gave me a gift to be able to throw the ball, but I used that gift to hopefully inspire somebody else. And then ultimately, I just thank God. I thank God just for giving me the opportunity to play this game that I love. It's an amazing gift. It's an amazing, amazing gift every day. And then I have a few people up here in the front. You know, Charlie Martin is the one who blocked in the backside for me against the Tennessee Titans in my first preseason game. And I dove in the end zone, and that's when everything, the kind of party kind of started. And caught a touchdown against the Kansas City Chiefs for me. To my mom, obviously, Mom, you've been a rock star for me, just keeping my faith. You know, she sends me a scripture every morning. I mean, it's this long, you know, and I love it because it's really about just being able to live with a full heart every day in the Spirit. And then my brother, you know, in the backyard where we used to get to be able to play and battle and battle and battle. You taught me how to compete. You taught me how to win. You taught me how to go. And then to my beautiful family, you know, Sierra, you know, I love you. You're a queen in every way. You've helped me in every way in this transition of the past 10 days, which has been difficult but also been amazing. And in the Bible, it talks about old wineskins versus new wineskins. This is the new wineskins. This is living in the new. And I'm excited to live in the new. And the old was really good, but, man, I can't wait for what's new. And I'm grateful for you. And then future, you know, man, you're my guy. You know, you hitting home runs, winning trophies, running home run derbies, and dominating flag football, to Sienna being the little princess that you are, to win. I don't know where he is. He's probably scrambling around. That's how you learn my scramble modes. But the last thing I want to say is just to the Denver Broncos, to Broncos country. This is a gift for me. I'm grateful to be around such amazing people. Obviously, George, over the past few days, getting to know you, it's been a whirlwind, but it's been amazing knowing that you're about winning just as much, and you're about these guys and helping all of us players and this whole organization be at the highest level. And that's what it's about. And then the rest of the executive team, obviously, Joe, I've been able to meet you. I mentioned John Elway as well. But then Coach Hackett, it's been a joy to get to know you, your passion, your energy, your focus, your desire to be around the best. You know, you telling me stories about your dad, you know, being, you know, one of the best, if not the best quarterback coach of all time, and coaching some of the best, and you growing up, being 12-year-old, being around Joe Montana and such. Those kind of stories are inspiring to me because I love the history of the game. And Broncos country is about the history of the game. And I'm excited about it. I'm excited about wearing the blue and orange. I'm proud to be a Bronco. It's an honor. It's a gift. I'm super excited about it. I'm super excited about winning. I came here for one reason. And that's to win. And that's what I believe in. So every day, what you're going to get from me is that mentality. You're going to get that juice. You're going to get that energy. You're going to get that focus. And we're going to do it together. All the guys back there, we're going to do it together. That's what it takes. But we're here for one thing, and it's to win. It's to win at the highest level often. And I'm excited about it. And I'm excited about the journey. And Broncos country, let's ride.
All right, guys, we'll go ahead and start with some questions for Russell only at the podium. After that, I'll take a seat. We'll open it up then for questions for George Payton and Coach Hackett. As Russell gets to know everyone, please state your name and affiliation prior to asking a question. We have wireless mics on both sides. We'll come find you. And I'll go ahead and start with Ryan O'Halloran.
Hey, Russell, Ryan O'Halloran, Denver Post.
You said Ryan?
Not much.
Yeah.
You had that no trade clause. What was it about your meetings with the coaching staff, the organization, and also the talent on the roster that said, hey, this is the right time for a change for you?
Yeah, great question. I think along the journey, when I found out the trade was going to possibly happen here, and then they had agreed to terms, that was kind of the time that I had to, you know, figure out what was next. And I think that coming here, I ended up coming here, flying here, and meeting with George. Kind of the first time I ever got to be around him. I've seen him on the fields. I think he was with the Vikings before, but I've seen him on the field before. But to talk to him and be around him, and his focus level and what he wanted to do and their plan. Obviously, Coach Hackett, to be able to talk to you, to just talk about how you saw football, the philosophy of it. That was a big part of it for me. And so I think that knowing that that the situation was probably going to be, there's going to be a change, I wanted to make sure that it was the right fit for me and for my family. Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, Denver was a place that has meant a lot to me over the years. But to know that this is a winning football team, you know, if I was gonna waive my no trade clause, you know, it had to be to a winning football team. And these guys are winners back here. And so I'm excited about it. It's a winning locker room. So it's about the players. You know, it's about the players. It's about obviously a great coaching staff and the organization. But the players, we help get it done. And that's what I was excited about.
Russell, Troy Rank from Denver 7. Good to see you here, my man. When you come here, you have the legacy of Elway, the legacy of Manning. How do you approach that? How do you embrace that? And also playing in a division that's crazy competitive with quarterback play and an AFC in general. What were your thoughts on that as you come to a franchise with iconic quarterbacks and now in an AFC filled with great quarterbacks?
Well, I think first of all, why would you want it any other way? You know, I want to compete at the highest level. You know, so I think first of all, when you talk about John Elway, as I mentioned earlier, and you talk about Peyton Manning. I got to go to Peyton Manning camp a long time ago. I was in 10th grade. I was in Louisiana, and he was my quarterback coach, him and Eli. And I was able to, learn from one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time and be around him, and how he talked about ball and how he saw the game. How he taught me how to do certain things and this and that. So I was always passionate about watching around him. I'd been around him. I came here right before. I'm not sure if you guys know this, but I saw a couple of friendly faces that I've met before along the way. But 10, 11 years ago, right before the draft, I came here. Actually, it was my last visit, and the Denver Broncos had just traded actually for Peyton Manning, and I came into the locker room, and there was one guy in the locker room, one person. It was Peyton Manning. He was in his playbook, looking at his playbook, highlighting, and I walked up to him about halfway before I got to him. He kind of stood up and, "Don't I know you from somewhere?" Started laughing, and he shook my hand. He said, "Russell, man, I remember coaching from way back then." And so those kind of memories, it's an honor, it's a tradition, it's a place of excellence, and I think that's the standard that I have to bring every day. That's the only thing I know. So that part I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to picking, John Elway's, brain about his history of the game, how he saw the game. Peyton too, the same way when I get a chance, and that's important to me to be part of the history of the game. And then in terms of the AFC West, I want to play against the best. I don't fear anything, so I'm looking forward to it.
Russell, Andrew Mason, DNVR. You're very meticulous, of course. So when you were going through the process of figuring out where you're going to spend the next phase of your life, your football career, what separated Denver and the Broncos from other possibilities?
Well, I think what was really critical was, for me, I had both feet in the ground in Seattle, all the way throughout the season. Obviously, I unfortunately injured my hand and everything else, and I was, so focused on winning there and trying to figure out how we could get better and win that process. As the season ended, obviously there's the process of that and trying to figure out, okay, what's next? What are we going to do next? I was super excited about what we could do there. And then, things started kind of changing a little bit in the sense of, maybe something would happen. And so once I kind of figured out that different teams were calling and there was some possible thoughts around that, that's when, once I found that out, I was like, okay, maybe it's time for me to go a different direction. And I think that it's part of sports. I think that it's part of different things. I think that Pete and John were great along the way, knowing that there was going to, there could be the time where I say no, even no matter what. That's the part of having a no-trade clause. I think that, could happen. But I think that once the two teams kind of mutually agreed on the thought process and everything else, I knew that these guys in the locker room were great football players. And so I quickly had to kind of, over the last week and a half or so, 10, 14 days, I've really had to kind of study, the Denver Broncos a little bit pretty quickly and try to figure out, was this the right fit for me and everything else if there was going to be a change. And, all the signs said yes. So I was looking forward to it.
Russell, Eric Delisle, DenverBroncos.com. How do you go about kind of earning the trust of this locker room and proving yourself here after being with another organization for so long? And then secondly, there were some reports you talked to Peyton Manning. Kind of what role did he play in maybe helping answering some of your questions?
Well, great question. I think the first thing is that, how do you build trust? I think you build trust by work ethic and communication. I think communication is everything, but I think work ethic is the best way to communicate. How I'm going to show up at the building, how you work at practice, how you demand excellence every day. I always talk about, engaging in the huddle. Every time I call a play, I want the offense to believe this play could go to the house every single time, every time. And so I think that starts in practice. I think it starts in one-on-ones. I think it starts in routes on air when we get to throw in California, or if I'm here or whatever it is in the off season, we're already planning everything and everything else. I think that's where that trust comes, and I think that's the work ethic is always going to be the number one thing. You can't mistake the work. So I always say success leaves clues. So I think that's a key part to it. And then in terms of Peyton, I've obviously known Peyton over the years. Once this thing was kind of very real, I called him just kind of to figure out, what he thought about the city. Hey, what do you think about the schools? What do you think? Because, moving my family, and my family is everything to me, future CNN win, and obviously Sierra. So I wanted to make sure, hey, all these different questions. And then obviously about just the organization, about his experience. Hey, if this does happen for me, and as it did, really quickly, I wanted to make sure that, you know, hey, what went well? What didn't go so well? What'd you learn? What'd you learn about yourself as a player? You know, I think obviously Pade's one of the best minds of the game and one of the best throwers of the game. And so, you know, going through that experience, leaving Indy from a place that he was at for, I don't know, 16 plus years or whatever it was to come here, you know, it's a big decision. And so for me, the amount of time and investment and love that I've had for Seattle, I will always have for Seattle, you know, it was, okay, there's going to be a change here. And so, you know, for me, along the way, for me, I've always known that what I believe about great players, the best in the world and everything else, is that you got to be really, really great at being consistent. But also you got to be really, really great at adjusting. And so this is a time to adjust. And so, you know, that's where my mindset was.
Hi, Russell. Lindsay Jones from The Athletic.
Yes.
How are you?
Good.
Kind of as we've been up here, the Seahawks have said that you were kind of the catalyst for this split.
Sorry, can you say
I said
again?
that while we've been talking, the Seahawks have put out a statement where they said that you kind of initiated this. Why was it that you felt that it was a time for change, and when did that feeling really start for you?
Yeah, I didn't initiate it. It was definitely mutual along the way. There's definitely been a lot of conversations. It hasn't been I initiated anything, but it is what it is. I'm happy to be here. That's all I know. Obviously, I'm happy about the 10 years I've had, but I think that, you know, it's, you know, we'll have to read about it later. We'll have some fun maybe with my book one day. We'll have some good stories.
Last one for Russell at the podium, Romy Bean.
Russell, Romy Bean, CBS Denver, welcome. You were just talking about demanding excellence. So I'm curious, can you describe your leadership style? And then when it comes to leading a locker room, what do you demand from your teammates? What do you have to see from the guys that you're in the huddle with?
You know, I think the first thing is knowledge of the game. This game's about intellectual processing. How fast can you process what you see, what you know, and what you've studied? And I think that ability to process everything is really critical. So, you know, guys got to be really on their stuff every day in practice. It starts with the meetings. It starts with the offseason. It starts with the weight room. You know, do we show up on time? Are we ready to roll? Are we ready to do those little things like that? I think that's a really critical part to it. And then I think that wild obsession with doing the little things right allow you to have the big things and the big moments as well. And then I think ultimately it's about the tempo of practice. You know, I really believe when people come to see us practice, they need to see a show. Like, it's a show. So that way when you go to the game, it's already what you already know. And so I think that ability to go from, you know, practice at the highest level, competing at the highest level with our defense and our offense, our special teams, how we go about it, how we communicate, how we process, how we pass it down the line, and all that kind of stuff in terms of communication is really critical. And so I think how you really become great is the everyday little steps. And the little steps become the big ones, and that's how you're able to win often.
Thanks very much, Russell. You can have a seat.
Okay, thank you.
There. And now we'll open it up to questions for George Payton, Coach Hackett, as well as any follow-up for Russell.
Yeah, hi. Mike Kliss, 9 News. This is for both Coach Hackett and George. I take it you didn't get Russell Wilson to go 9-8. Expectations are a little higher. What are your expectations for each of you, and how will each of you address those expectations?
I mean, in the end, it's about competing at the highest level at all times. I mean, we want to win. Just like Russell said, that's what we're here for, is to win as many games as we possibly can. We know there's going to be some adversity on the way. It's hard to win every single game, but it's about getting to the playoffs and having a chance to get into the dance.
Yeah, Mike, expectations are always high in this league, and it's no different here, you know, with acquiring Russ or the players that we acquired the last couple days. And it does no good about, you know, talking about it. We just need to put in the work, and good things will happen.
Russell, welcome to Denver. I have 2 questions for you. When you step back and you look at what you want to do here, what legacy do you want to leave as a Denver Bronco, and how many years do you want to continue playing?
Yeah, my goal is to play 10 to 12 more years and hopefully win 3 to 4 more Super Bowls. You know, that's the plan. So I think that's the mindset. That's why I came here, to hopefully be able to finish my career here and to finish on top as a champion, you know, and do it multiple times. So that's my mindset.
Hey, Russell, George Stoy with the Gazette. for you and Coach Hackett. Coach Hackett, you talked about in your press conference, you want to throw the ball deep. You want to score a lot of points. So I'm wondering, Russell, how do you feel you fit in Coach Hackett's offense? And Coach Hackett, how do you feel Russell fits in your offense?
Well, I think first and foremost, every single thing in this game is based on how the quarterback plays. So I think, when we get that opportunity to be able to sit down and talk and kind of start building this thing, it's about what Russell does good. And one thing he does good is throwing the ball down the field. So that's why he definitely fits. So I think that's kind of the starting point is we want to be sure that we're doing what's right for this team and for what's right for Russ. That's my job as a coach, to be able to move stuff around, be fluid for all the guys that are out there, find the things they do well with him. And as we start working that stuff out, that's what we'll be continually doing.
And then on my end, I think that we haven't been able to kind of go through everything yet, obviously. But I think to be able to see the players, and as he mentioned, it's about what makes the best team possible on offense. And I think a lot of that is that it all goes together: offense, defense, special teams. And I think the critical part is that we got playmakers, and we got a great offensive line up front that can block and do their thing, and run from the run game to the pass game. And then we got a really great running back in J-Dub. So I think that a lot of that is to be physical, set the tone, being physical, and then in terms of when the ball's in the air, I know these guys are gonna go up and get it. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Nick Kosmider with The Athletic. Nathaniel, we could tell when you came up to the podium your excitement level for having Russell as your quarterback. When did you find out that this was kind of moving in that direction, and what was your initial reaction? And then Russell, just if you could tell me what your initial impressions when you met with Coach Hackett of him.
Gosh, I don't know when I actually realized it was happening. I mean, it's one of those things you hear about it, but until it's actually done is when you're actually going to kind of believe in it. But when his name was brought up, I mean, we've gone against each other a bunch of times. And, I mean, the fact is, when you're going against Russell Wilson, I mean, game is never over. I mean, I think we had one game we were talking about it. I think it was a touchdown. The next play was another touchdown. Another play was another touchdown, and went back and forth. So, I mean, he's electric. And, I mean, so whenever his name's mentioned to anybody across this league, I mean, it puts fear into people. And so now to have the opportunity to be able to work with him and be with him and support him, I mean, it makes everybody excited. It makes me excited. It makes, the players excited. I mean, this is unbelievable. And so, yeah, I mean, it's true excitement to be able to work with a guy like this, a guy that's won a Super Bowl, a guy that has been so unbelievably successful. And the idea now is just make it even better.
Yeah, I think for me, to meet Coach Hackett, to meet the rest of the staff, and to meet, obviously, George, I was excited because I saw the same philosophy, the philosophy of winning. Winning is everything. Winning is everything, and it's the only thing. So to me, I know he'll be super excited, every day, as you can tell.
Facts.
I'll definitely be excited, but I'll be a little bit more neutral, that's for sure. But when we get in the end zone, we'll celebrate. And so we plan on getting in the end zone quite often.
Over here, question for all three of you, starting with George. Jeff Legwold from ESPN. I'm just curious if you could all describe the moment when this became a real thing. And George, when did you start to let other people in on the secret?
I would say when we arrived at the Combine, it was starting to get pretty serious between John and I, and we had a number of discussions at the Combine. And then, that's when you had to let in a few more people. We were still really cognizant. We didn't want it to get out. You never know if it gets out, if it could blow up the deal. And so, again, I credit our organization, the leadership group that knew, the inner circle, that kept it in-house. And so it started getting serious at the Combine. And once we left the Combine, I knew we were in striking distance, and flew home that night on a Sunday and just kind of, sat in the office and just thought how we could close the deal, and talked to John Snyder that night, and then the next morning we closed the deal.
Same question for me. So,
Just describe the moment when it really became tangible.
yeah, I think when it really came tangible, I was on vacation actually, me and C, and I got a call that this is going to become real. They agreed to terms, so that's when I had to kind of figure out if this is the place for me or not. So flew here, landed, and then we met for several hours, a few hours along the way, and then as I got to talk to George, and I asked him what his plan was. What are you thinking? Where are you going? Where's this team going? And what's next? And he answered all those questions. Boom, 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 boom. He had a plan, And then same thing I asked Coach Hackett, what's your plan for the team? Obviously being an offensive-minded coach coming in with all your experience and everything else, what's your plan with that? And then, how are you going to lead these guys, and how we're going to, how will we do it together? 'Cause I think that's the journey of being a head coach and also a quarterback in this game, is that it's a journey together. And I think that's the thing that that I was super excited, to know that he had the same vision of winning and what that mattered to me. I asked him, what does winning mean to you? He said, everything. It's exactly what I believe. So, those different things, little things like that. And then as I had to watch the film on the flight here and really kind of dive into it a little bit more and really figure things out, that's when I was like, okay, I just kept watching tape. I'm on vacation watching tape, but as I saw these guys making plays, it was exciting to see, and I saw the defense. I saw the defense and what they were doing on defense, and I was excited about it. Jay Sims leading the way, and just different players along the way. I remember meeting Chubb a long time ago. I came back, I think it was I'm not sure what year it was, but I came back to NC State. He was a star at NC State, and I remember meeting him, and he told me, one day we'll play together. Well, we're playing together. So there's a lot of great players. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the guys up front, and how they play up to, obviously Bowles up front, the left tackle. It's a key position. He's a great enthusiasm around the game. And I saw J-Dub. I got to talk to J-Dub after the whole thing kind of happened, and UNC, NC State thing. We kind of went back and forth a little bit about that. So just good energy. I talked to the receivers. We got a group message going. Those guys are entertaining, that's for sure. And then and the line too as well, and just different players. So I was really excited about it. And so, like I told you, I think the other part for me was when I was able to touch ground, put my feet back on the ground. It reflected me back to 2011 when my dad passed away, and 2010 I should say, when my dad passed away. And so when I put my feet on the ground here, it felt like it was my dad telling me, yeah, you're back here again. And so I remember being in 2010. I came out for a game. I got to hit with a big league team and all that. And one of the things that I remember sitting behind home plate, and Mark was sitting on my left, I was sitting on the right, and I said, Mark had said to me, you're going to play in the stadium one day. And I kind of looked over and I said, I'm going to play in that stadium too one day. And, so it's cool to be here.
Pure joy. It was one of those things. It was kind of talked about it. I think at one point he brought it up. Would you be interested? And explicit, yes, very much.
I don't think he said yes.
No, yeah.
I think he said F yes, very loud.
Yes, yes, and then again, personnel, people are always like, well, just double check, and started looking at all the tape.
Yeah, I wanted him to watch the tape. He said, I don't need to watch the tape. He's kicked my ass many years. And I said, no, you
when
just
you go
won't.
against him all the time, you live it and you don't like it. And so I think, looking at it again, it's, oh, yep, look at that play. Oh, look at him do that play. Okay, yes, what else? So I think that, it was just pure joy, excitement, you name it, that's what was felt.
George, Eric Goodman with Mile High Sports Radio. As you know, the best GMs don't just think in the present, they think a year or two out. So going back to last year's draft, I know you wanted Pat Surtain, but there were other quarterbacks who were available. Did you look at the landscape a year ahead saying there could be a possibility to maybe get Russell or somebody else in a trade? Did that factor into your decision with last year's draft?
Yeah, that's a good question. Last year's draft was about Patrick Surtain, and our whole building fell in love with him, and we were going to take him no matter who was there, and we thought he was, one of the better players in the draft. But when you're in my position, you're always thinking ahead, and but at that moment right there was about Pat. I would say this season when we made a trade, we traded Vaughn. That wasn't an easy trade. But we knew, that the picks we got back for Vaughn could help us maybe potentially down the road to get a quarterback, to get whatever. It's just, I've always talked about flexibility in a draft, flexibility in an off-season free agency. And so we had that flexibility to make a move if we had to, and then this really softens the blow of the picks we gave up. We have 9 picks. We have a second, 2 thirds, 2 fourths. So we can do whatever we want still and feel really good about it.
Russell, it's Sam Farmer of the Los Angeles Times. It's my understanding that you, in your process, watched all 17 games and broke those down and even referenced the preseason with the Broncos. Was it important for you to know this team 1-53, and did you actually watch the preseason?
Yeah, I watched the preseason. I'm a little crazy. But yeah, I wanted to watch the preseason because I wanted to see some of the younger guys who maybe got injured or maybe got hurt or whatever their situation was. Maybe they didn't get to play yet. Maybe they were behind on a great player, whatever it may be. I wanted to see some of those guys. But then also, too, I think a big part of it was I wanted to watch the full games because the full games tell you everything. You know, full games tell you the situational football, what went right, what went wrong. I think that when you're on the verge of winning, like this football team has been, and we're on the verge of winning, well, there's these game-altering plays. I call them gap plays. There's 3-4 plays within a game, maybe just 1, 2, that change the game and the situational awareness of that. And where did the game shift? Where did the game change? And I think that was a big part of it for me, to figure out, you know, what have been the strengths and what have been maybe the areas of improvement. And I think a lot of that was a key part for me to understand and watch and process all 17 games. So I've watched all 17 games now at this point. Since the moment I figured out this was going to probably happen, I don't know, last week at whatever point that was, I probably watched all 17 games 2 or 3 times almost now. So I think a lot of it is just, you know, doing what I love, and that's watching film, studying it, and seeing what guys are really great at, you know, and then figuring out what's, like I said, the situational awareness is everything to winning a game and to winning often. So I think that was a big part of it, you know, for me.
Russell, Sean Keeler at the Denver Post. I know you and your wife got to meet some folks in the community yesterday and get around and get a lay of the land, meet some kids as well. I'm curious what kind of feedback you've already gotten from Broncos country now that you're here, and obviously you knew some folks from a decade ago on the baseball side, and if you can appreciate the hunger that those folks have, the expectations and the excitement they have for you being here.
Well, you know, Sierra and I were able to go to the Children's Hospital yesterday. We landed yesterday, late last night, like 1 o'clock the day before. So basically that morning, yesterday, and we got in, you know, super early, and then we went to Children's Hospital around 9:30. You know, and it was amazing. You know, just to see obviously to see the kids, to see the energy in the building. There's so many people at the studios, you know, watching us, and we were able to read our book, you know, Why Not You book, to the kids, and just talk about life and talk about just believing. Sierra always gives amazing wise words to the kids, and it's just an emotional experience. You know, the thing that I've realized over the years, and you know, my dad unfortunately passed away. I was always in hospitals. My mom was an ER nurse. She lived in hospitals. We had to unfortunately have to live in hospitals in a way because of my dad being sick. And what I understood was that it takes a village. It takes everybody. It takes everybody. And the rooms where the kids overcome cancer, or they overcome situations that they're battling or facing, you know, the first thing is the family and the loved ones that are there. And some kids have tons of family members, some have none at all. I've been in rooms where nobody's ever there. I've been in rooms where there's 12 people there every time you walk in. There's 5 family members. There's the one girlfriend that's always there for them, or the one mother that's single mom that's got 2 kids in the children's hospital because they both have cancer. You know, I've seen it all. So I think a lot of it is, you know, I remember memories of guys like Milton Wright who had cancer, and they told me he only had 12 to 18 hours left to live. And Dr. Mike Jensen telling me, hey, there's a chance, and the nurses tell me there's a chance if we do T-cell therapy. I asked them what T-cell therapy is. They told me they put it in, they take the T-cells out of the kid's body, regenerate and re-energize them, put them back in the kid's body. Within 2 weeks, hopefully the kid's cured. We don't know if it'll work or not. And so I went back in there and told them, hey, why not you? If you do this and it works, you know, if you do this and it doesn't work, you won't remember. He started laughing and said, if you do this and it does work, you'll be a legend forever. And he got up and said, hell yeah, I'm doing this. Well, you know, why not me? And he walked out of it. And so those kind of memories, those kind of miracles, and those kind of moments, and all the amazing doctors and nurses and people that give and help with the research, it's everything. And so for Sierra and I, going to hospitals and going to children's hospitals and helping the youth is everything to us, because we have 3 beautiful kids, and you know, and the reality is that, you know, you never know. And I think that what's really important is, along this journey that I'm excited about here, you know, is that, you know, I want to be able to give back. I want to be able to make a difference here, you know, and God's given me an amazing opportunity to serve, to love, to to do this with a big heart. And yeah, we're going to win a lot of games. I believe that. But it's also about, hopefully we can help a lot of lives and also save a lot of lives by just a really great, energy around people and hopefully resources and everything else, a lot of prayer. So I'm looking forward to that.
George, you mentioned the difficulty in trading Shelby, Noah, Drew, but to be able to keep guys like Pat, Javonte, Jerry, and not have to gut this roster, how critical was that to make sure that the group around Russ was still very competitive?
Yeah, I mean, those three players are really good players, and we're going to miss them. But we had more good players here, and I felt like we wouldn't have done the trade, and Russell probably wouldn't have wanted to come if we had to gut our entire team. So I still think we have a lot of good players in place, a lot of core players. As I mentioned at the end of the season, I think we have a really good foundation in place, and I think Russell saw that. And we're going to add. We've added in free agency. We're going to continue to add, and the work is never done. And so, we're going to do everything it takes to win, and we feel like we have a lot of good players here. A lot of them are here today, and we're going to keep adding.
Hey, Russ. Kyle Newman from the Denver Post here. How did Coach Hackett's coaching style factor into this decision? Then second part, what about the wideout core? You mentioned studying the film. What impressed you about Sutton, Judy, Hamler, Patrick, that foursome?
Yeah, well, I think the thing about Coach Hackett that was amazing is that he loved the history of the game. I'm passionate about the game and the history of it and why we call things. And I always say the whys of football. You got to know the whys of football. Why are we calling this? Why? And when you have that level of investment as a player, but also obviously as a coach, and those two things can connect and correlate, you can make magic. And I think that's where I'm really excited about it. At the end of the day, it's about the work, though. It's every day, the consistency of it, the obsession of it, the wild obsession of the work and doing it right every single day and not letting up ever. I think that's really critical. But I think I think the big part of this game and to be able to learn this game as players and everything else is the ability to teach, the ability to explain, the ability to verbalize what you want, and then also paint a picture for them. And the same thing as a quarterback. You got to be able to paint a picture every play. I want to paint a picture every play. Anytime I step in the huddle, it's not just I'm just giving a play. It's the play. It's the only play. It's the only one right now. And so I think that marriage, that thought process of it between me and Hack was really there, from the jump. And then I think watching the wideouts, man, to see these guys, to see Tim Patrick attack the football against the Cowboys, to see Cortland Sutton dive for the ball and a go ball, against the Steelers. To see Hamler, battle through all the things he's been battling with, and to know that he wants to still get work, even though he's been dinged up, but he's getting back. That's passion to me. To see him run, in the preseason game, track down balls, it's been cool to watch, and so much. And then you think about Jerry Jeudy, I think he's a star, and I think that a guy who can get open, who can kill guys at the line, can match up against different guys, can go attack the ball and snag guys off the head against, I think it was the Jets. Just different players, different things that he's been able to do. And then to watch the running back not get tackled. I mean, it's always good when a running back doesn't get tackled, right? So that was fun to watch. And then I just like watching the guys up front, how they've battled. They battled. Bowles, I think, is one of the best pass protectors in the game, and how he can block. Reisner brings, great energy. I mean, as he's pancaking guys out there. Kush is smart as can be. I can tell on film and how he's directing everybody. Q over there, I mean, he's coming against the Cowboys and just killing them over there, crushing them. And while Javonte's taking off, and then I think, in terms of all our tackles, we got different guys playing that position now. So I'm excited. There's guys on our team. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen here. And then you got AO playing tight end that can really make guys miss and do some special things. He's pretty shifty. So and I'm sure there's some other guys I'm maybe possibly leaving out, but I think that I'm excited about the team. I'm excited about the group of guys, and I know to be able to win it all, it takes a group effort. It's not just one side; it's all sides, and how we do it all together, and how we marry everything up together to help and complement each other.
We've been watching for the better part of 45 minutes. The Broncos introducing their new starting quarterback, George Paton, the general manager, the new head coach, Nathaniel Hackett, and of course, listening to the extremely polished veteran quarterback, Russell Wilson, who seems it'd be really hard to phase him. He's unflappable, handled everything with grace, with terrific knowledge, what he's been able to glean from studying even the preseason games. Rod, he's quite a show.
you watch it, and I just kept thinking Peyton Manning. I mean, he talks about watching all 17 games 2 or 3 times, watching the preseason game so he can see how the young guys are, and over and over and over again, he talks about winning. I'm here for one reason, that's to win. I mean, you can just see, this is a level that the Broncos haven't had since 18 was under center. He really is very much like Peyton Manning, all in.
Extremely comfortable in his own skin, and that's something we've always known about Russell Wilson, but Broncos country is going to learn a lot more about that as he says he plans to play another 10 or 12 years. And
win 3 or 4 Super Bowls.
Which sounds great. But it was interesting to hear him talk about, as he opened up, he talked a lot about baseball. As a two-sport athlete, he referenced John Elway. He talked about meeting Cargo and Todd Helton and Matt Holliday when the Rockies drafted him. And again, opened up personally, talking about the passing of his father and that linkage to Colorado for him.
He mentioned that several times, said when he touched down here, it was almost like his dad was telling him, this is the right fit. Reiterated, looking back, how you're going to play in this stadium one day, talking about Coors Field, and he's like, I'm going to play in that one too, talking about Mile High. I also thought it was interesting what George Paton said at the beginning, that this was their #1 target all along, and how they were able to keep it quiet. It reminds me of the Avalanche days when Pierre Lacroix would never let anything out. Well, apparently George Paton, pulling a page from the former Avalanche GM, nobody knew about it. He said they'd been negotiating for a month, and he was their #1 target all along, and they were going to do anything they could to get him.
Yeah, Nathaniel Hackett almost got us a call from the FCC.
Yeah, he did. He started with the SH and then stopped.
Very, very excited. The reason why, it's obvious. We've been talking about what Russell Wilson has done on the football field, and if you follow the NFL, you've seen it. But he's started every game except those games he'd missed just this past season. The winning record, the Super Bowl championship, and certainly playing at the very top of the level of the position of quarterback in the National Football League, which is not only the most difficult, it's the most important position in sports. And when you have one of the best, you have every chance.
I liked what Nathaniel Hackett said. He said, you mentioned the name Russell Wilson, and it puts fear into everyone. I mean, this is the NFL, let's be honest. It used to be defense wins championships. It's now turned into a quarterback league, and the Broncos now have a quarterback that could win them a championship again.
Well, our Broncos insider Mike Kliss is going to get a chance to sit down and have a chat one-on-one with Russell Wilson, and we're going to be able to bring that to you a little bit later on, of course, when we come back for 4 o'clock at 9 News and 9 News at 5. But for now, that concludes our coverage. If you want to keep watching that news conference, it is available on our website at 9news.com. But for now, we return you to regular programming.